Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Late Winner Show. As you can see from our background, it's all about Bayern Munich today. The Bundesliga nine-time Bundesliga champions of Germany, and it's looking very increasingly likely that they're going to win their 10th league title in a row. Already, I think 8 points off the second best team in Germany. But to discuss all the things about Bayern Munich and how their season has gone and about like how some of their players have been performing, I have FC Bayern update with me. How you doing?
Hi, I'm very good, thank you. Hopefully, the cases that Bayern had from COVID will, recover, and because the difference between this season and the other 9 seasons that we were able to win the league is basically that next week we are already playing against I think it's Borussia Mönchengladbach, and usually in Germany you had a month to prepare for the second round of the season because of the winter break. So I'm curious to see how that is going to affect Bayern both in the league and in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things that's scaring a lot of the squads because it's hampering their squad as well because it's not giving them enough time to recover and they have to play week in week out. Good thing about German
Yeah.
Bundesliga is that they get at least a couple of weeks off. So that's good. That's good in that aspect. Um, but let's start. Let's definitely start with the program. And before we actually do, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show. Give us a follow on Instagram, and Twitter as well if you like the content that the Late Winner Show is producing. And I'll leave the links in the description below for the Buy and Update channels as well. Please give them a follow and subscribe to them as well. But let's definitely talk about Julian Nagelsmann. I think how impressed have you been with him this season? Because when he when he was brought into the club, I really had my doubts, and it was like when the preseason was going on, he basically lost almost every game in the preseason as well. And the first game into the Bundesliga, one all draw with Gladbach, and I really felt that this might be the season where Bayern will have to actually fight for the title. But obviously, it's not been the case. He's definitely adapted well into the team, and he's definitely producing really good masterclass tactical performances. In the Bundesliga as well. The classic example is the 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗪 against Bayern Munich. Sorry, against Borussia Dortmund. But how impressed have you been with Julian Nagelsmann this season?
Yeah, I agree that I had my thoughts about how he was going to be able to adapt in the first after the first couple of matches, especially the friendly matches. But most of those preseason friendlies were without the main team because the main team was mostly on the European Championship, so they had little time to adjust to the new tactics and to the new boss. And I do think that Nagelsmann has something that Flick didn't do quite enough in his second season, which was rotating players. Nagelsmann does rotate. I was hoping that he was going to rotate a little bit more, to be honest, because of the entire the amount of matches that we currently have and the current injuries and the players that give positive of COVID. Um, but all in all, I believe that it was a very easy transfer from Flick to Nagelsmann in the
Mm.
offensive department. My concern was never if this team was going to be able to score more goals and more goals. Because this team has a very fluid offensive system. They all know each other, and it's not like if Nagelsmann changed a lot. He did change some positions, and we will discuss about individual players later. But in what I was expecting from Nagelsmann was more defensive stability, something that they didn't have neither in 2020 when they won the Champions League and in 2021. This team was was basically a team that you could hit, but you knew that you had to score at least 3 or 4 goals if you wanted to beat this team. And most of the teams scored 2 or 3 times against us. I think there's a stat where Bayern started losing 8 matches in a row, which is a record in the Bundesliga that never happened for Bayern.
Mm.
And then we all always won the match in the end. But the fact that you always start losing means that something is wrong with your defense. So he was able to correct some of the mistakes. Our defense is looking better. We always have some sort of matches in which we don't perform well in defensive duties. But overall, I think that the change from going from Boateng and Alaba in central defense to Lucas Hernandez and 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗕𝗦, which are basically the ones that are starting usually on the team, has been a good thing for the club in terms of defensive stability.
Yeah, I think that's a great point in terms of the ability of that, right? The 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 one thing that I want to talk about obviously is Jamal Musiala, who has stepped up in the name of in place of Joshua Kimmich. He he looks definitely that next big thing in Germany and Bayern Munich as well. I think he's the next big superstar, in the Bundesliga. How impressed have you been with him, like within his age and the amount of pressure when you play for a club like Bayern Munich, because he has this constant pressure to perform in the games that he gets, because they're going to play in the biggest of biggest games throughout the season, and the expectation of Bayern Munich is always to win, right? How impressed
Yeah.
have you been with Musiala?
Well, he definitely was very good under Flick as the first substitution usually that Flick did in terms of when we needed offensive freshness. Um, it's not it's not easy for him to be compared or to be described as the next Thomas Müller. Like the expectation that everybody has, and I'm with those that think so, is that he's going to be the player that replaces Thomas Müller in the starting 11 when Thomas Müller ends up retiring. So that gives you 3 things to think about. One is that he's going to be uh, the main position that everybody sees Musiala playing at is behind the striker as a number 10. Um, of course, he has a lot more fluidity than a typical number 10, but that's the main position that when he plays at his best, he has to play in that position. Second, he has a lot of flexibility. Like you can put him as a winger, and he will do a very good job. He actually made a very good job against Lazio this year. I think it was in the last 16 of the Champions League. He scored an amazing goal, and he was very good up front. He understands himself very well with Sané, Müller, Gnabry, Coman, Lewandowski, and he has really struck in, because one of my biggest fears with him, as with most of the young players that come to Bayern, is that they don't fit, and they seem a little bit scared to play with these big guys that have won everything and that they constantly perform. But Jamal, he has demonstrated over and over again that it doesn't matter where you put him. The only thing that he requires is for him to have minutes. And recently, like you said, he replaced Joshua Kimmich on the double pivot with Leon Goretzka, or with Tolisso or Marc
Mm.
Roca, because Goretzka was also injured. So, and he did a very good job. I still believe that his best position is going to be the number 10, but as a Kimmich replacement, when Kimmich is not there, I think he can develop into that type of player if Bayern needs him to play there. So yeah, overall, I think it was a very good signing from the sport director from Bayern, 𝗲𝗲𝗓𝗏. It was a big loss, I believe, for Chelsea. I know that Chelsea has a lot of talent, and
Yeah.
they have a very good academy. And but I'm, there's always this rumor. I think it started like 3 seasons ago that 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗕𝗏 is very keen into getting 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗏 from Chelsea, and that's a rumor that we have seen over and over again. Every transfer period, they link him with Bayern, and in the end, we end up having Jamal Musiala, and most of the Bayern fans say, "Well, I think we got the better of it." And time will tell, but I do believe that Jamal is like the main offensive face of not only this team but also for the German national team. So if you want to see it that way, Bayern not only got a very good talent from Chelsea, but they also stole, if you will, a very good talent from the English national team, because he ended up playing for Germany instead of England.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree with you on that. I think Musiala is definitely one player to watch out for in the coming months. What he does in replacement of Joshua Kimmich is something to something to see. And now I don't remember who they're playing against in the Champions League.
We're playing against Salzburg.
Salzburg, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
we
might
were
be a
supposed
good.
to play against Atletico Madrid, but in the first draw, but then we got
Yeah,
Salzburg.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's a good option, to play against when they play against Salzburg, because that's going to be a good game for him to get the experience of,
Yeah,
of Champions League football, and then in the latter stage of the tournament, because he's going to be playing now more regularly, because of we mentioned already that Kimmich is out. Um, moving on to the other backside of Bayern. 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗕𝗏, who was signed from RB Leipzig. He's definitely been underwhelming. Would you agree with that? Because the performances that he had with Leipzig, the promise that he was bringing into Bayern Munich side, who was obviously struggling defensively a lot. Even last season, he's not brought any kind of stability into that game, into that team. Uh, but where do you think that he can improve, and do you think that he is still a good signing with the way Bayern Munich still plays, or do you think that maybe another season for him, and if he still doesn't perform, he should probably be looking elsewhere?
no, I do believe that it was a good signing. He definitely had very good matches against, for example, Borussia Dortmund. He played very well.
Mm.
The problem with him is that whenever he had a bad game, it's a terrible game. Like we definitely lose because of him, and it's not because he's a bad player. I believe that it's more. It has to be with concentration or being there in the moment. And once he makes one mistakes that end up conceding us a goal, he's completely out of the match, and that would probably be the moment and the place in which I would think that Nagelsmann has to step in and work on his confidence. Like, it's okay if you make one mistake, just don't continue doing that same mistake or other mistakes throughout the match. I remember a match the match that we lost against Borussia Mönchengladbach, the team that we're playing in a couple of days. Next week in the Bundesliga, we
Mm.
played against them in the DFB Pokal, and we lost that match 5-0, and we were out of the Pokal because
Yeah.
it's only one game. And yeah, he was definitely the worst of the match, and he started committing mistakes, and he never got through with it until the final whistle. So yeah, I think that he's going to get there, but we're going to be we need to be a little bit more patient with him, and maybe he can learn something from Lucas Hernandez, which I believe is the best defender that we have in the team, defensively speaking. And maybe he can learn something from him in terms of, you can make a mistake and just recover from it. But I've seen a lot of matches, good matches from him, and it is very, very promising in terms of what he can do and what he can develop into. And the plus side is that he's not like a 30-year-old. He's really young, and you can work with him, and you can make him better in that regard. And that's something that the entire defense that we have has in their favor. Youth. And most of these guys have won everything. Like Lucas Hernandez and Pavar they both won the World Cup, being a starters. Alfonso Davies, he also makes a lot of mistakes, but that's on the defensive part. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he's still young. They can learn, and the important thing is that it's okay if you have one bad game. The important thing is that you don't have a lot of games consecutively, because
Yeah.
if they lose their starting spot, then there's another guy sitting right behind them that would probably take their place, because most of the central defenders that we have are young and they want to prove themselves. So if they don't perform well, they know that they're going to be replaced not by a senior player that it's there just to see if they make it or not. They will be probably replaced with another young player. For example, in the case of Upamecano, you have Nianzou, who is he was a player of Paris Saint-Germain, of their
Mm.
academy, and he's really developing very, very well. And every time Nagelsmann is just giving him more chances, and you know, I still believe that Upamecano is going to make it. But maybe this season is going to be like a try and error season, just like Lucas Hernandez had that season last season, and Leroy Sané as well. Just look at them, at both of them right now. They're doing fantastic. That's my hope for Upamecano, is that he will probably get a lot of mistakes this season, but then next season he will be a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. I think I hope so too, because I've really been following Bayern Munich this season, and I really do hope that he can turn around his form in the second half of the campaign, because that's where Bayern Munich need him, because I think they're definitely one of the favorites to win the Champions League once again. But they need to have a defensive structure, when the knockout round, good knockout round fixture come in the month of March.
Agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
Um,
agree.
Yeah, and obviously, we cannot end a podcast without talking about, the goal machine, Robert Lewandowski. Uh, he's what a year he's had, man. I think he should have definitely had two Ballon d'Ors. One was obviously
Yeah.
not conducted last year, and this one was definitely, as it was trending, it was robbed Lewandowski. That's what was trending on Twitter, right? So I just feel sad for him, because the records that he's broken, the amount of goals that he scored in a calendar year, definitely just speaks volume of how much of a good player he has been throughout the year. And not only throughout the year, I think it's for the better part of 2 years he's been the best player around, in world football. But what do you make of this guy? Like, I'm basically speechless on, how he performs week in, week out. Do you still think he can beat his own record of 41 league goals, which he just got last season? Do you think that's going to happen? And what's the ceiling? He's hitting his prime at 32, 33. Whereas if you see the number of goals that, when Messi scored that 91 goal season that he had, and Ronaldo scored almost 69 goals in that one year, they were still, like, pretty much very young. But he's hitting this peak of his career and still not stopping at this age. What do you think? What do you think has how has his season been? Definitely.
Yeah, I think first of all, his physical state or condition is probably the best that he has ever been throughout his career, and he has said so a lot of times that it's basically because of his good, health. His good. He eats well. He does regular exercise. He nurtures his body, and one of the main reasons is his wife Anna. She helps him a lot with everything that it comes with nutrition. It comes with doing exercises, taking care of their bodies, not eating things that they shouldn't eat. and they are both really, really, keen in preserving their bodies, and that's why I believe that he still has at least 3 or 4 years more at a very good level, top level. Uh, Hopefully, he will, score more goals in 2022 than in 2021. I do think that it's a little bit too much to ask, but you never know. He definitely uh, has become a leader in this team. He's not just a goal scorer, he also helps out in different positions of the pitch, and he helps a lot to his teammates, and he's like, that he helps his teammates and that his teammates are there for him as well. I could see that when he broke Gerd Müller's record in the last second of the last match of the Bundesliga. That was a thrilling moment for me because I was really rooting for him to pass Gerd Müller. And I think Bayern was winning something like 5-0, and he hadn't scored a goal. And he had a couple of ones that were really, really simple for him to score, and he
Yeah.
wasn't able to do so. And I'm like, wow, even he has, probably mind issues in what that goal was going to be to represent. And then in the last second, I think it was Thomas Müller or Leroy Sané that gave it a go at goal, and then the goalkeeper just bounced back the ball, and it was just there for Lewandowski to score. And if you ask the rival of the other team if he wanted to celebrate with Lewandowski, he would probably say no, in public, but in private, I'm sure that everybody in the stadium, including the rival team, was hoping that he was going to score that goal. And yeah, one of the debates that we have in the Bayern community is, should we sell Lewandowski and just go for Haaland, or
Mm.
should we just keep Lewandowski? I am on the team that thinks that we should keep Lewandowski for various reasons. First, he really represents the club.
Yeah.
He feels the team. He feels the fans, and he still has, like I said, at least 3 or 4 years more on top level.
Yep.
Second, the whole financial situation. Erling Haaland is not going to be cheap. He's not going to, first you have to negotiate with Borussia Dortmund, because apparently everybody's talking about the release clause that Borussia Dortmund has keep on saying that it doesn't exist. So if it does exist, it's still a very high release clause. I think it's like 80 million euros, if I'm not mistaken, or 75.
Yeah, it's
And
65 million. I think it's 65 million euros or something.
imagine that. So
Yeah.
considering his quality is probably not that much considering
Mm.
today's market, but still,
Mm.
when you have to negotiate a salary with the player and everything, I don't. I think that Haaland is not going to play for Bayern because of those reasons that I said. And honestly, if you ask me, I don't think we need someone like Haaland right now. Maybe in 4 or 5 years, but you never know what the market is going to give
Look
you.
like. Yeah.
I always say, look, for example, the Vlahovic, I think it's his name, from Fiorentina.
Oh
He's
yeah,
been
Dusan
really
Dus.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
he,
Dusan
he,
Vlahovic.
he
Yeah.
has been really, really good in the Serie A.
Mm.
And you never know when a guy like him is going to come to to the big stage, and maybe it's not needed to buy someone like Haaland, because there's going to be another guy in that moment. So yeah, I think that Bayern should keep Lewandowski, and I do believe that he's going to be on his peak for at least, like I said, 3 or 4 years. And my wish is that for Lewandowski, Müller, and Neuer, all three to retire in the same year. Probably they all have contracts until 2023. My hope is that the club is going to be able to renew them until 2025, and then they can retire in 2025. From, I don't know if professional football, but top level, they should retire in that moment.
Yeah, I think Lewandowski is a top footballer, and I completely agree with you. When you say Does Bayern Munich need Haaland? I don't really think so. I think what you said is correct. Is Lewandowski, the way he takes care of his body, I think he still has another 3 or 4 years left in his body, sorry, in his play, and he can perform at the highest level, and perform and win many more trophies with Bayern Munich itself. What happens in 3 4 years definitely is something that we cannot predict. Maybe Haaland and Mbappe both are fed up of Real Madrid or wherever they are, and they might be like, yeah, I
Yeah,
want to move to Bayern Munich now. So it might just be
yeah,
3 or 4 years is a long way to go. But I think, and I read something today morning as well, like Oliver Kahn said, that they're not looking to buy Haaland because they have Lewandowski in at the moment, and they're not looking
yeah.
to sell him any for any reason. Right now, I think the only way I see Lewandowski leaving is if he himself just announces itself, saying that, yeah, I'm looking for a last gasp, uh, you know, um, uh,
A new challenge. Yeah,
a new challenge, exactly, yeah, new challenge in his career. He might just leave, and I think he said that in the summer transfer window, just before the summer window just ended. He said that, like, he might want to move to a Premier League club, and I was hoping, like, maybe Harry Kane and Lewandowski made the switch. We even did a video and said, what if Lewandowski and Harry Kane actually switched their clubs. So it's only going to be if Lewandowski pushes for a transfer. Otherwise, I don't really see Bayern Munich selling him at the moment. I think he's still at 33 years of age. I think he's still worth at least 100 million pounds with the number of goals and the number of the style of play that he provides to the team. So I definitely think it's still there. But I don't think any club would invest 100 million euros or 100 million dollars, 100 million pounds in Lewandowski at this point of time. I don't think, because the return of investment is very less.
yeah,
I just feel that.
exactly.
So I think he stays at the club, but I think really love Lewandowski. I love his work ethic, the kind of goals that he scores, and the work ethic that he brings, to Bayern Munich, the cohesiveness he brings to the club as well, with the teammates that he has around him. It's definitely a good thing to see when you see such good, footballers playing the game of football. It's definitely pleasing when you
I
when
think
you
that
sit here and
now,
analyze the game.
now,
Yeah.
now that Alaba left the club, I think he's now the third captain. The first one is Neuer, then Müller, and I think the third one is Lewandowski, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So
Yeah.
that speaks a lot about him as well.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he breaks his own league record, and maybe he gets the elusive Ballon d'Or next year. I'm guessing, because I'm pretty sure neither Messi or Ronaldo are in the running for the
Yeah.
Ballon d'Or the next year, definitely, with the seasons that they're having with their respective teams. But thank you so much, for coming onto the channel, and providing your thoughts on your beloved Bayern Munich.
No, don't worry. Thank you for inviting me, and have a happy new year. And to everybody that's listening and watching us, have a happy new year too, and stay safe.
Happy New Year, yeah, and stay safe. Before we do log off, I have to say this, but please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show. I'll leave the links in the description below to all our social media channels as well, and I'll leave Bayern Updates, FC Bayern Updates social media links as well. Go give them a follow. They're producing good content on Bayern Munich itself. So anyone who's a fan of Bayern Munich, definitely go give them a like and follow, to listen to more Bayern Munich content. That being said, thank you so much for coming on again, and I'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you. Thank you.